In the late 1990s and the early 21st century, something extraordinary happened. Seemingly out of nowhere, huge and growing tsunamis of popular culture products came roaring out of Korea and across Asia, soon reaching Hawaii, where I live, and eventually elsewhere in Oceania, Africa, the Middle East, the Americas. How did that happen? Why did that happen? At that time, Korea was not known for its creativity in popular culture, certainly not in the way that Japan or Hong Kong or the United States are well known. What happened in Korea? I don't know, but someone wisely decided that in addition to fertilizers, oil tankers, automobiles, and electronics, that popular culture could become a valuable export product for Korea. Policies forbidding Koreans from accessing Japanese anime and manga were reversed. Policies backed up with good funding, favoring the development of popular cultural products from Korea, were quickly put in place. And before long, a Korean wave was rolling across the world with K-pop, soap operas, anime, movies, and electronic games suddenly becoming significant sources of income for Korea. Many scholars and pop critics inside and outside of Korea sought to explain that phenomenon. Some said that Korea's dynamic young generation is the engine behind the success story. Their creativity and imagination is blossoming as a result of the country's newfound economic prosperity and political democracy. Others agreed that increased democratization in Korea has also played a role. In movies and in music, full-fledged freedom of expression is guaranteed. Previously taboo subjects, such as ideological struggles, have been allowed, and a full degree of freedom is granted in depicting such subjects, they said. As such, some people said that the Hallyu is perhaps a harbinger of a general flowering of Pan-Asian culture, heralding the emergence of the long-awaited Pacific century, following the fading century first of Europe and then of North America. An owner of a Beijing video and music shop that stocks Korean products was quoted as saying that Korean pop culture is seen as fresh and edgy, but non-threatening, because they're Asians and look like us, so it's easy to identify with them. Korea has never invaded Asian countries, and so carries none of the negative history associated both with the United States and Japan. Hallyu soap operas initially dealt with personal and social issues in ways that ordinary Asians understand very well in their daily lives. Unlike the fantastic or violent images typical of US or Japanese popular culture. At the same time, Korea is also a fully modern and developed country. It proudly demonstrates to other Asians that they too can catch up and succeed on a global scale while retaining fundamental Asian values. Some critics disagreed. They said no such extravagant explanations are needed at all. Hallyu is just a passing fad. It's just the latest new thing, and would quickly pass, as all fads do. There's nothing new or nothing creative about it, they said. Hallyu is nothing more than another example of what Korea does best: imitate and improve on well-known products that creative people in other countries dreamed up on their own. Koreans are just revising and skillfully marketing a product that was known to sell very well, some people said. Now, in part because of the continuing success of the Hallyu, even today, the idea of Korea as a creative economy has gained some political traction. As you know, the current government said recently that a creative economy means combining creative ideas with science and information and communication technology to help create new businesses, markets, and industries, and to generate more jobs. But what's new about that? Korea has been extremely creative in this dimension for many years, from its state-of-the-art high-tech shipbuilding industry to the products of Samsung going from once meaning cheap imitations to now meaning world-class, cutting-edge, highly attractive electronics. Is the government saying that Korea should just become even more creative in the future by intensifying what it already does very well? Perhaps, but there may be other ways by which Korea might be a creative economy. For example, Korea might encourage greater development not of conventional IT products, but of the creative arts themselves, such as the fine arts, drama, dance, cinema, television, fashion, interior design, games, and toys. This is what it means today to be a creative economy in many parts of the world, to recognize that the arts and sports per se are valuable economic products, and so to encourage even more valuable cultural products. That was the basis of the first Korean wave from 1997, which emphasized the creation of popular culture products such as K-pop, soap opera, and electronic games. This meaning of a creative economy understands that creativity and culture are not distractions from or mere decorative additions to a real economy. To the contrary, creative cultural products themselves are one of the major bases for a new and even more profitable economy beyond the products of agriculture, industry, and information. Another meaning of a creative economy goes even farther in this direction. It expands the development of creative content products beyond existing forms into research and development of novel forms and novel media. In this meaning, Korea will now focus more on developing entirely new modes of culture, entertainment, and sports, going beyond reliance on electronic information technologies. Finding ways to bring creative content into cutting-edge biotechnologies, nanotechnologies, new materials, and especially space activities, including space tourism. By doing so, Korea will become the world's leader in transforming all economies from their current focus on the maintenance of obsolete industrial and information societies towards becoming new and inspiring dream societies instead. The electron was discovered little over 100 years ago. It was only effectively utilized for communication purposes 75 years ago, and it emerged as a key driver of social economic change in creating a high-tech information society perhaps only 40 years ago. There is certainly more and perhaps novel uses of the electron in the immediate future. But for Korea to become a truly creative society and a world leader in global creativity, Korea must go beyond the reliance on the electron to learning how to use other fundamental physical and biological properties for communicative and for creative purposes. Consider nanotechnology, for example. According to the original inventor of the term and the concept, Eric Drexler, nanotechnology has two key features. One, manufacturing using machinery based on nanoscale devices. And two, products built with atomic precision. Both features are essential. It is not enough that machines be extremely tiny, from 1 to 100 nanometers in size. They also must be built with atomic precision. Many things called nanotechnology today do not deserve the name, according to this definition, Drexler says. According to Drexler, nanotechnology of atomically precise manufacturing, so-called APM, will use the intricate arrays of high-frequency, nanoscale mechanical devices to move atoms and molecules from place to place and put them together to make precise patterns of matter. Drexler compares current cutting-edge information technologies with future APM technologies this way. He says, nanoelectric information technologies can put a computer in a desktop, but nanomechanical APM technologies can put a factory in a desktop. Digital electronics provides a general-purpose technology in the world of information products, he says. Atomically precise manufacturing will provide a general-purpose technology in the world of physical products, somewhat like 3D printing, but able to do much, much more, Drexler says. APM-guided 3D printing offers many great promises in many areas. Nonetheless, in my view, the next big step beyond APM-scale 3D printing might very well be the teleportation of non-living physical objects. Developments in quantum teleportation are very rapid. The teleportation of living things probably lies somewhat farther into the future, but I may be too conservative here. Now, my point is not to predict what the next big technology will be. Rather, I wish to stress that Korea should be the world leader in doing the cutting-edge research in determining what the next big technologies are. And, even more importantly, in seeing that not only physicists and engineers, but also sculptors, painters, dancers, singers, gamers, and other artists work together with scientists and engineers on the development and use of those technologies. If Korea wishes to be a truly creative society, it must go beyond its current over-focus on the so-called STEM disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and fully involve what I call the STEAMs as well: science, technology, engineering, arts, and the humanities, math, and the social sciences, all of them. If Korea fully engages in STEAM's research and development, there is no doubt it could truly become the leading creative society in the world. Moreover, it's been said that if physics was the defining science of the 20th century, then biology might be the defining science of the 21st century. If so, learning how cells and their component parts communicate with each other and using that process and the communication modes of other biological components for creative human communication in ways analogous to the electron would be profound. Greater research into that possibility is essential. Especially learning how artists might use the communicative processes of cells, genes, and enzymes for culturally creative activities and processes, just as they now use the electron, would be revolutionary. Korea should become the world's leader in such research and development. However, to tell the truth, my heart is on space research and exploration, and I congratulate the Chinese for the successful launch of their rocket to Mars. But Korea has been strangely absent from most space activities compared with other parts of the world. China, India, Brazil, Malaysia, Nigeria are joining the United States, Canada, Europe, and Russia in becoming world leaders in space research and exploration. Korea lags behind. I'm sure there must be good reasons, but it's strange to me that Korea has followed the leaders into electronic and biological research, but resisted moving into space with equal vigor. If there ever was a dream society, space is it. If anything will change humanity forever, it is when we finally get out of our cradle Earth and begin to live in the other parts of the solar system and beyond. Once we do, novel environmental pressures will begin to have profound evolutionary effects upon all of us and all other life. As Ben Finney said, if our descendants spread far and wide through space, the forces of evolution now braked on Earth will be released once more. Human evolution in space will hardly be limited to the birth of one species. Space is not a single environment. There are innumerable environments out there providing countless niches to exploit, first by humans and then by the multitudinous descendant species. By expanding through space, Ben Finney said, we will be embarking on an adventure that will spread the explosive speciation of intelligent life as far as technology or the limits of competing life forms originating elsewhere will allow. How can Korea hesitate to become a major player in space exploration? Why wait? Go for it. Now. We're not moving. I clearly favor the meaning, thank you, of a creative society as one that uses all cutting-edge technologies, not just electronic technologies, for new imaginative purposes. I urge you to consider it too, even more than perhaps you already are. Now, over the last 2 decades, some futurists have shown that industrial and information societies are transforming into something that Ernest Sternberg calls the economy of icons, what Ralph Jensen calls the dream society. what Joseph Pine and James Gilmore refer to as the experience economy or the conceptual society, and what Virginia Postel writes of as the substance of style and the rise of aesthetic value in economic life. All of these futurists are using different words to describe the same phenomenon. I call the new political economy a dream society of icons and aesthetic experience. It is a society that produces and consumes not information, but aesthetically exciting dreams. Ralph Janssen says, the sun is setting on the information society even before we have fully adjusted to its demands as individuals and as companies. We have lived as hunters and as farmers. We have worked in factories. And now we live in an information-based society whose icon is the computer. But we stand facing the fifth type of society, the dream society, Ralph Janssen says. Very importantly, Janssen understands that society is finally moving away from the dependence on writing to the dominance of audio-visual images. Today, he says, knowledge is stored as letters. We learn through the alphabet. This is the medium of the information society. Most likely, the medium of the dream society will be the picture. Janssen said that Henry Ford was the icon of the industrial age, while Bill Gates is the icon of the information age. The icon of the dream society has probably been born, but she or he is most likely still at school and probably not the best pupil in the class. Today, the best pupil is the one who is a first-rate symbolic analyst. In the future, it may be the student who gives the teacher a hard time, an imaginative pupil who is always staging new games that put things into new perspectives. He or she will be the great storyteller of the 21st century, Janssen said. I agree entirely with Janssen that this is a popular future of the world. Indeed, it's already around us now, especially here in Korea. I take this symposium and the interest that your nation's president has shown in encouraging Korea to be a creative economy to be a recognition of that. But if change towards exceptional creativity is desired, then changing Korea's educational system is essential. There have been steps in that direction, but not nearly enough. What should be the focus of a new educational system? Should it be identifying and fostering a few creative geniuses, or in bringing out the creativity in every Korean, young and old, richer or poorer? One answer might be to do both, but I believe that nurturing the creativity in everyone is by far the more important. To focus on a few geniuses discourages everyone else from being creative at all, or at least from being as creative as they could be. Everyone is a genius about something, and all geniuses are ignorant or inept in many other ways. Our educational system should nurture, celebrate, and use whatever the genius is in each one of us. The essence of traditional education has been to foster convergent thinking, to help everyone learn the one correct answer For this, rote learning and standardized testing is fine. To produce workers or managers for industrial or information societies, this kind of narrow and conformist education was good enough. But for a creative economy, for a dream society, indeed, simply to survive in the worlds of the futures, we need to encourage divergent thinking. We need to help people understand that there are few, if any, right answers to the challenges of today and tomorrow, and to encourage learners to find many possible useful, functional, possible answers, and to explore their consequences. We should not foster a society of a few brilliant winners and many, many losers. To the contrary, we need to recognize that everyone can be a winner in some ways and a loser in other ways. That we need to nourish all talents and to help everyone work together towards creative and practical solutions to complex challenges. This means that Korea needs to become something it has never been before, a risk taker on the global stage. For every product that succeeds and takes off, 100 products will crash and burn, along with 1,000 people and millions of won spent on developing them. Is Korea willing to become a world-class risk-taking society? I hope so. But if so, you must allow people to take big risks and fail without their lives and futures being destroyed. Many risky new products will fail, and some ideas may seem to be ridiculous, obscene, subversive. But no one should be allowed to become a failure themselves if their ideas don't work out. They should be enabled to try and try again if they wish, and to fail again and again as well. Now, I want to say words about jobs and about job growth. And you're not going to like this. A truly creative economy will not produce more meaningful jobs. That is the secret of financial success today. The way a few people make a lot of money now is by employing almost no one and making nothing. If actually making products is somehow necessary, then they outsource the job to cheap labor elsewhere in the world. But that's only temporary. Most products can now and soon will be produced without any human labor at all. We really don't need many people to produce things now. We don't even need people to think about planning to produce them or for thinking about anything else. Robots do more and more of our work, and artificial intelligences already are doing a lot of our thinking. For the most part, even now, we require people to have jobs not because we need their labor, but because we need them as consumers. More importantly, we keep people busy at meaningless activities so that they won't have the time and energy to get into trouble. This fact should not be ignored when anticipating the futures of Korea. We need to understand that the economy of full employment, like the kind we have tried to have for the past 50 to 150 years, is not possible anymore. Unless, as is possible, energy and economic collapse occurs, in which case demand for manual labor will become widespread again. Robots, artificial intelligence, autonomous beings, cyborgs, artilects, ubiquitous technologies have already just about taken over all manual and mental jobs that once upon a time only we humans could do. New, real jobs requiring human labor and intelligence will not emerge to take the place of the old, necessary jobs that the robots have taken over. It is now time to strive for a world of full unemployment. We must separate work from access to products that are produced without much, if any, human labor. Now, a world free of meaningless make-work should also be a world of great creativity. The one thing that humans still do better than their machines is to be imaginative in ways that other humans find engaging. And people could be very creative indeed if they were not required to labor all day at body-sapping, mind-numbing jobs. The dream society of the future will be one of leisure, abundance, creativity, and full unemployment. But a dream society is only one possible future for Korea. No country or company should commit to any one future until it is considered the major alternative futures. A dream society is one alternative future, but there are others that you must consider as well. For the past decade or so, I've been calling the attention of decision makers in Korea and elsewhere to what I call the unholy trinity plus one. This is a future without cheap and abundant energy, a future with unstable climate, insufficient food and water, severe environmental pollution, a future with challenging global population growth and local population decline, a future without a sustainable economy that distributes wealth fairly, a future with governments that have lost the ability to govern. Unless the challenges of the unholy trinity are addressed sincerely, you may have no dream society and no information society and even no industrial society. We may re-enter agricultural society once again, at best. A future of social and environmental collapse requiring new beginnings is by far too big a risk to take unknowingly. Everyone in the world should prepare for it and be willing and able to embrace collapse and new beginnings eagerly and successfully if necessary. In order to prepare for this, and for every person in Korea to enjoy a prosperous, meaningful life, I've also discussed with many Korean leaders and citizens the possibility that Korea should become a conserver society if a dream society is not obtainable. many years ago, I worked with the Science Council of Canada to help turn that nation from being a wasteful consumer society into becoming a sustainable conserver society. Tens of thousands of Canadians all across the nation participated in determining what a conserver society might be like. They developed 3 very different models for discussion and consideration. Conserver Society Model 1 had growth with conservation, efficiency and expansion, with the motto, doing more with less. That was one model. A second model looked for an affluent, stable society. Moderation is the ultimate value. Do the same, not more, do the same with less. That was Model 2. And Model 3 was called a so-called Buddhist scenario, with the emphasis upon being, not buying, doing less with less and doing something else was their motto. 3 very different images of a conserver society. Now, Canada was 40 years ahead of the world and of itself at that time when it considered those options. The drive towards making Canada a conserver society was eventually killed by those who saw only unrestrained economic growth as desirable, with no apparent concern for the human impact or environmental and resource sustainability. But the time may be ripe now for Korea and for Canada, for the world, to think about a conserver society very urgently. At the very least, Koreans must consider this as seriously as Koreans consider the futures of an information society or of a dream society. We need all the creativity we can muster to face the futures, whatever they may be. Now, no one can predict the future. I cannot, and neither can you, nor anyone else in the world. But the future is within our influence, and perhaps even in our control in some important ways. We must understand that Korea can no longer follow the leadership of other countries. There are no leaders to follow anymore, anywhere in the world. That time has come and gone, and Korea did very well during it, but it is over. If Korea really wants to have a creative economy within a creative society, it needs to begin to do the hard, honest, creative work of assessing the tsunamis racing towards Korea from the futures. Not only the wonderful new technologies of a dream society, but also the challenges of the unholy trinity. After Korea has done this, then Korea can decide what path to create ahead. Don't put all of your futures in either a dream society or a continuation of an information society. That is far too risky. Be creative and be courageous. I know you can do it because you've done it before. The challenges are great, the stakes are high, so don't wait. Start here and start now. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to talk to you. Thank you.